Well, Linus Pauling, for instance, had written several articles that were refused by medical journals. I myself have tried to send letters to the editor of various different journals, and they won't publish them, although I did have one letter that got accepted to Lancet about the increasing bowel tolerance with various different stages of AIDS. And then when they published that, I followed it with another article about how bowel tolerance was increased in all sorts of diseases depending upon the toxicity, and they wouldn't publish that. So my experience with talking to physicians, like when I go to Stanford and talk at their conferences, they just won't listen. And there just seems to be a resistance against this. And like I say, when I was using vitamin C in my orthopedic practice in Mills Hospital in San Mateo, all my referrals got cut off. And I had to move up to Incline Village, where I was the only doctor in town. And so the basic approach then has been to approach the public and have the public understand the effects of ascorbate. Because actually, after you understand how to titrate to bowel tolerance, if you have a good gut, then you're able to knock out a lot of the various different infectious diseases that affect us, colds and flus and things like that. You know, if you have a complicated disease, like an autoimmune disease, or you have food and chemical sensitivities, massive doses of ascorbate may be helpful, but you need a professional to help you do it, because you'll have all sorts of troubles taking the amount of ascorbate necessary. But just the average Joe off the street who's eating junk food and still relatively healthy, maybe he's going to have a heart attack when he's 60 years old, but as a young person he's still healthy and he has no allergies and all that, and then he gets a cold or a flu or mono or hepatitis or something or other like that. These people can learn to knock the hell out of these diseases with massive doses of ascorbate. And so that we're hoping that by getting the public knowledgeable on how to do this, they will force the physicians to do it. Now, as time has gone by, more and more physicians are getting into this. It's a slow process, but right now we're worried about this thing called Codex in the European Union, where they're trying to outlaw these massive doses of nutrients. And this is just a gross attempt at trying to sell drugs, because obviously people who, well, myself as an example, with my hay fever, I took 2 or 3 antihistamines a day for years and years and years. And since my discovery of how to treat it with ascorbate, I don't use antihistamines anymore, and darn few antibiotics. And so that it's a disaster to the drug industry if people learned how to use proper doses of ascorbate. So we have to understand that what they're trying to do with Codex is to prevent the use of these nutrients, because they cut down on the sales of drugs. Now, of course, this is genocide, but that doesn't make any difference.